G'day guys and gal, it's hard to imagine that not everyone thinks that the Custodian Guard are dope. Even their enemies often begrudgingly respect them, with Chaos Legionnaires actively praying to their gods before entering a war zone, hoping that a Custodian won't be around. It's no secret why. They look awesome, they fight awesome, their attitude is awesome, they're just straight up awesome. But the Primarchs do not have a consensus on this, with some respecting them, some liking them, and then some straight up loathing them, which I think will be quite interesting to get into today. Before we get started, when it comes to hygiene, you need to make sure you are not only covering all your bases, but you're also using the right tools for the job. So I've partnered with Manscaped today to show off the new buff bundle. We all know Manscaped for their innovative shavers for both upstairs and down, as well as their various other hygiene or nice smelling products. But have you seen their body exfoliant? It's called the Body Buffer, and it's an antibacterial silicone body scrubber that, when paired with Manscaped's refined body washes, creates the ultimate body rubbing experience. Why should you exfoliate your body? Well, it's the same reason why you exfoliate your face. It removes dead skin, stimulates collagen production, helps reduce and prevent ingrown hairs, the list goes on. Having a smooth, vibrant body is important, especially if you end up cuddling someone and they do that thing where they rub your chest. You want that shit soft. With all that in mind, using my link below, you'll get a cheeky 20% off the buff bundle, which features the body buffer and 2 refined body washes, which smell awesome, like a sexy and manly vibe, as well as free international shipping. This applies to the entire store. Cheers to Manscaped for sponsoring this video. Today we'll go over what each Primarch thought of the Custodian Guard, and if the Custodians had a strong opinion of that Primarch as well, then we'll also mention it. Now let's get into it. Kicking us off with the Lord of the First, we don't actually really see any Lion and Custodian interaction. The Lion was crusading for most of the Great Crusade, then was trapped away from Terra during the Heresy and only made it back after it all ended. So there wasn't any Lion and Custodian time. In saying that, the Lion likely would have respected the boys in gold, as he trusted the Emperor completely and backed up all of his plans. So for the Emperor to create these special warriors, the Lion would have trusted them as well. In a similar fashion, Fulgrim also doesn't get much time to chat to the Custodians either. Wow, great start to the video, Majorkill, you fucking retard. We do see him speak to Valdor at the Council of Nicaea, and the Emperor's children seem to share, or even just straight up take various design and aesthetic choices from the Custodians, that being the equal iconography, power spears for the elite bodyguard, and their use of gold detailing, on top of the fact that Fulgrim was obsessed with the Emperor and gassed them up whenever he could. So it's not hard to imagine that Fulgrim saw the Custodians as the pinnacle of perfection and strove to shape his legion to be more like them. Perturabo didn't have a strong opinion on the Custodians. However, during one of his many mock tabletop battles, he could use the Custodians as a unit type. He treated them as the absolute elite of the elite warriors that he held in reserve to use at the perfect moment to win the battle. But Purdy was never one to have moments of reflection and introspection, so he never really spoke of the Custodians. The only scene I know of him where he's even in their presence is when he first meets the Emperor and notices them standing behind him. During his Pledge of Allegiance, the Custodians tense for battle if he was to refuse, which Purdy usually would have raged at, but he was so happy to be with the Emperor that he ignored the insult. Jagadai made the Custodians a bit uneasy with his extremely unpredictable, free-spirited nature, the opposite of them. The Khan saw them as extensions of the Emperor. In saying that, Valdor and the Khan seemed to get along well during the Siege of Terra, with there being a scene where a mortal general tells a joke to Jagadai, Valdor, and Raldoron, with Jagadai laughing out loud and even Valdor smiling, but nothing too much else to report here. Russ and the Custodians got along well, especially Valdor and Russ, who spent a lot of time together and had mirroring spear blades. They often debated and discussed in-depth topics, with the two warriors gaining immense respect for each other. The Space Wolf watch pack idea that Russ and Malkador came up with was based on the Custodian watch squad that was assigned to Lorgar, with imitation always being the greatest form of flattery. Rogel Dawn probably had the most interesting relationship with the Custodians. At a glance, you'd think that the massive Golden Praetorian would get along well with the other massive Golden Praetorians, but it actually took a while for them to start gelling. Dawn and the Custodians would run their own operations on Terra without asking each other or communicating, resulting in multiple physical clashes. One case involved the Custodians outing a spy, only for Dawn to reveal that he was a spy for the Imperium pretending to be a spy for Horus, to which the Custodians replied, "Then fucking tell us that next time, you retard." They actually almost came to blows, with the Custodians squad believing they could take Dawn. Another instance involved a full-on battle between the Imperial Fist and the Custodian Guard due to a misunderstanding. However, by the time the siege came about, despite butting heads a lot earlier, Dawn and Valdor were close friends, with Dawn seeing the Custodians as a brilliant weapon against the darkness. Conrad is someone we genuinely don't know what he thought of the Custodians. We do know he looked down on almost everyone, finding Space Marines to be especially pathetic and easy prey, but if he tried to jump a Custodian squad and they repelled him, would he have respected them? I guess we'll never know. Sanguinius likewise never had much to do with the Custodians, although there is a scene where he sees a squad of Custodians and Sisters of Silence standing in a group and it catches his attention. He remarks that they are his father's guardians, before then catching himself being a bit surprised that his father even needed guardians considering his power. Sanguinius would spend a fair bit of time fighting alongside the men in gold during the siege, gaining a lot of respect for them as warriors. If there is a Primarch that I actually cannot say shit about in regards to his opinion on the Custodies, it's Ferrus Manus. I don't think there is a single scene of him with or talking to or about Custodies. However, I probably would say he liked them due to their prowess, but that's just speculation. Angron did not like the Custodies at all. One of the first things Angron ever did upon getting reunited with the Emperor was to kill one of his Custodies, as the Emperor had just stolen him away from a battle that would have given Angron a glorious death. So in a rage, Angron charged the Emperor and killed a Custodian who got in his way before the Emperor knocked his ass out. Angron would just then view the Custodians as the high rider slave dogs of the Emperor who carried out his tyranny and oppression. Definitely not a fan. Guilliman's interactions with the Custodies have been super interesting since he is the only Primarch to interact with 40k Custodies as opposed to 30k. The Custodies were very suspicious of G-Man, as their role was both to protect him but also slay him if he proved to be a traitor. In saying that, due to the Emperor's commands, they did obey Guilliman and work with him, with newer law showing that the relationship has changed and now the Custodies think G-Man is pretty awesome. In return, G-Man thinks the Custodies are very impressive and he enjoys talking with them. However, he also enjoys fucking with them when he can. A Custodian tried to insist that Guilliman should not enter a war zone due to its danger. Guilliman was bantering with him about it until basically saying, I know it's not tactical for me to go down there, but I'm fucking pissed and I need to blow off some steam and there isn't anything you can do about it. I'd honestly say G-Man's view of the Custodies was similar to Rogel Dawn. He respects them, but can find them a bit frustrating sometimes. Mortarion is another Primarch that we don't really have an answer to regarding Custodies. I'm sure in the current setting he finds them obnoxious due to them doing a number on his forces during the Plague Wars, however they weren't even present when the Emperor arrived on Barbarous and humiliated Morty, so it's not like he can attribute them to that negative memory, so overall I think Morty just despises them like he despises everything the Emperor created, including himself. Magnus quite liked the Custodies before the heresy, although found them to be a bit too boring and straightforward for his liking. During the triumph of Ulanor, Magnus and his warriors were halted by the Custodies as they went to see the Emperor. Magnus begins complimenting the Custodians, speaking of how great their names were and how he believed that they would go far in their order. The Custodians appreciated the compliment and they let Magnus pass. But the thing is, they only let him pass because he passed the gene code test that confirmed his identity. The compliments had nothing to do with it. Magnus just wanted to gas them up hard. After the fall of Prospero, a battle in which the Custodies took a part in and slaughtered many of Magnus's sons in, it's easy to say that the Crimson King's opinion of them isn't as stellar as it used to be. Horus greatly respected the Custodies, especially Valdor. Even when he was full up juiced on Chaos Demigod mode, he wished Valdor to join him and become one of his closest companions. Prior to the heresy, Horus liked the Custodies just like he liked everything the Emperor did or was involved in, but I'm struggling to find anything particularly substantial or interesting. On the other hand, Lorgar fucking hated the Custodies. Prior to Monarchia, he probably saw them as angels, with the Emperor being God. However, after Lorgar turned away from the Emperor, he fucking hated them, openly insulting the shit out of them to their face and threatening to kill them on more than one occasion. Likewise, the Custodies thought Lorgar was a mega douche and the shittiest of the Emperor's sons, other than Angron of course. The Custodies and Vulcan didn't get much screen time together, however Vulcan did make it to the Siege of Terra and he did whoop Magnus's ass, which saved the Emperor, something that the Custodies would have thought was dope as hell because they fucking hated Magnus. In return, Vulcan likely would have admired the Custodies, although with Vulcan despising Malkador, there's a chance that that feeling could have extended to the Golden Banana Boys as well. When Korax was given the Emperor's gene tech to rebuild his legion, a squad of Custodians went along to help protect it. These Custodians were initially cold to Corvus and vice versa, as they wished the Raven Lord to return to Terra to protect the palace, as opposed to waging a guerrilla war in the trader supply lines. However, as Corvus's secret war escalated and tore the traders a new asshole, the Custodians with him learned to respect Corvus greatly and were happy to follow his command and put off returning to Terra, as they saw that every traitor, every ship and every bullet they destroyed or seized was one less problem that would eventually get to the throne world. A lot of mutual respect there. And finally, Alpharis and Omegan. Alpharis saw the Custodians as effective protectors, but he also didn't respect them much, as evident by him killing one and taking his gear as a part of a mock infiltration. Valdor and Alpharis would also cross blades, appearing to be equal in skill. Omegan seemingly never spoke to the Custodians or shared his thoughts on them, so we don't have much to go on there, unless he's been posing as one for the last 10,000 years, which honestly wouldn't surprise me. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then Patreon is the place to be, where we've just uploaded another raw and edited photo from the 2024 nude cosplay calendar. Hit the subscribe button and hit the real subscribe button for more golden content. Join the Discord for more memes and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.